with your host, Andrew Romanella.
When you play Battle in Mario Kart and you don't turn off any of the items, there are bananas everywhere. I mean, it's like you're losing your balloons because you're slipping on bananas left and right. Bananas everywhere. What's going on, everybody? Welcome in to another edition of The Rome Show here on 12ouncesports.com. Broadcasting live on Roku Channel TV, Amazon TV, YouTube, and X. I'm your host, Andrew Romanella. I got you for the next 30 and change, and I hope you come along with us. You can tune in on the comments section, YouTube or X. Give us your thoughts. Answer my question of the day. Since it's NFL Combine Day for the next 4 days, the NFL Combine will be going on in Indianapolis. We wanted to ask the question, what do you believe your 40-yard dash time would be? What do you think you would run the 40-yard dash in, as we see so many dudes in the National Football League do at the Combine, and we watch them do it very, very fast? All right, I'll give you my guess at the end of the show, but write in on YouTube, write in on X, whether it's Coach Romo 24 or The Rome Show 1 or 12OZ Sports. That's the mothership. You can follow them everywhere. If you miss any part of this show, we remind everybody we got a podcast. All right. So you can just go to the Rome Show podcast or head to youtube.com/12OZ Sports. And if you subscribe there, any show, live or not live, you can watch and you can listen. It's all National Football League today, and for the right reasons. All right. The Combine starts, so we'll get you ready for that. We got some top prospects for you to look at, some top quarterbacks for you to talk about. The NFLPA did a survey, which I found very, very interesting, because they were rating the National Football League work environments. And I thought that was awesome. And the players had the vote with about 77% of the league voting. So, and some interesting numbers. So I want to give those to you. Brock Purdy's in some talks with the Niners. We might get to that. But more importantly, the rule changes the NFL is thinking about implementing, including a first down monitoring system inside the football, so the officials don't have to be atrocious at their jobs running straight lines. So much to do in the National Football League since the Combine is starting. Like I've said, get us on social media, any of the social media sites, The Rome Show 1 or 12OZ Sports. Let's start in Indy at the National Football League Combine. Here it is. It's a 4-day extravaganza of non-football pad and helmet wearing football activities. Okay. It's essentially a 4-day baseline testing for players that are invited to the Combine, that the 32 NFL teams and their scouts and their general managers and their scouting departments believe these players could potentially play in the National Football League. So these players then go through 6 different events and an interview process with as many teams as they can or teams want to speak with them. The 6 events that these players are going to test in are the 40-yard dash, which I want to know what you think your 40-yard dash time would be, bench press, the vertical jump, the broad jump, the 20-yard shuttle, and the 60-yard shuttle. Now, all of these players have the opportunity to opt out, not go at all, or do every single thing. Majority of the programs in college football that have NFL potentially draftable players will also host a scout day at their own facilities, where in a similar fashion, you'll get the quarterback and the wide receiver running routes, or you'll get the offensive lineman doing drills, or the kicker kicking kicks, or whatever the case is, right? So you have really 2 chances in this process before the last week of April, when the NFL draft is. And for majority of the top prospects, more specifically top quarterback prospects, which we will throw on our screen here, thanks to drafttech.com, which is where we got our information for these top 11 rated quarterbacks. Some of these players, a lot of these players will usually choose to not go to the NFL Combine if they are top rated, like Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders. Now, I believe Shedeur and Cam are both not throwing at the Combine. I can't remember exactly who on this list isn't throwing at the Combine and is throwing at the Combine, but they will all throw at their scout day, which is pretty much the most important day for the quarterbacks. And really, the Combine is the tale of two tapes, okay? If you're somebody from what is perceived to be a 2nd to 7th round pick, it can only really help you or obviously potentially hurt you, but that's being, the Combine's being used by those players to increase their draft stock or just prove they deserve something, whether drafted or free agent. Whereas the players that are considered top picks, top 30, top 5, top 10, top 15, it usually can only hurt them. Because if you're considered already a first round draft pick, really, what would be the purpose of going to the Combine with which it could only hurt you because in theory you should dominate since it's not an actual game? And if off of game tape and practices and the last X amount of years you've been in college, they've rated you a first round pick, well, then you should most likely stay and not do the Combine. The later you get in terms of what your draft potential is, in terms of the 7-round draft, the more likely it is you need to go to the Combine. The lower that number is, 1, 2, 3, 7, 15, 20, the more you really have to think about, will this Combine help me? Going back to the picture on your screen, Draft Tech, top 11 QBs, Cam Ward, the quarterback at Miami, Shedeur Sanders, the quarterback at Colorado, Quinn Ewers, Texas, and Jackson Dart, Ole Miss, are really the four, in my opinion, and it's not just because they're the four top ranked, that I believe right now teams should think about maybe making some moves for. I'm not sold on any of them. I'm the most sold on Shedeur Sanders, and the reason being is if you have that in your blood, good things can happen. Okay. So many sons of great athletes, Hall of Fame athletes, don't have careers like this, don't have the work ethic that Shedeur Sanders has, don't go after it like this. And there are a lot of pro athletes, children that do, but just think about how many great athletes you have seen that have children that you're like, oh, I wonder if they're going to play their sport, be great. No, it doesn't always translate. And Shedeur, it kind of is translating. And he's athletic and he can throw the rock. And sure, there's a lot of things that we have to figure out here. He reminds me a little bit of Bryce Young, or, Bryce Young could throw the rock a little bit more accurate and consistent, I believe, and probably had to play against harder defenses while he was in college than Shedeur has had at Jackson State or at Colorado. A little bit like Lamar Jackson at Louisville, right? I mean, think about Lamar Jackson when he came out the draft. He was like a 30th pick overall. There was not a full belief that Lamar Jackson was going to be a great quarterback. Josh Allen, same thing. I'm not saying Shedeur is going to come into the league now and be a most valuable player at quarterback, but if you look at some guys over the course of the last 6 or 7 years in the draft where there have been a little bit of question mark, they profiled like Shedeur. Athletic, they can obviously run the football. They do a solid job of hitting receivers. Can they do it in tighter windows in the National Football League? How will they be fully under center? Can they read a defense? Those typical questions. But I think the makeup's going to be there. The work ethic's going to be there. And the genes are there. So of the four of those guys, Cam Ward, Quinn Ewers, Shedeur Sanders, Jackson Dart, I want Shedeur, then I want Jackson Dart, then Cam Ward. I'm good on Quinn Ewers if I had to choose between one of those three. And a lot of teams with quarterback needs in the National Football League. And this is where the journey starts. This is that excitement for a football fan. I don't really care about the Combine. Now I'm going to tell you about it because it's my job to talk on the radio and give you the info. But I don't care. This isn't going to tell me whether or not this guy is going to be good for my team. First off, I believe in offensive and defensive linemen before I believe in anything else. So if I don't look at my roster and I don't have 10 to 12 combined offensive and defensive linemen that I believe can be great in the National Football League, then that's all I'm drafting. I'm watching the big men. That's what I want. Okay. But that's not me. That's not the way the NFL is trending, but that's the way the Eagles play. Huh. And no wonder they're so good. That's the way the Detroit Lions play. No wonder they're so good. So even though we always talk QBs, weapons, receivers, tight ends, running backs, kind of trending back in the right direction. At the end of the day, you don't have an offensive line, you don't have a defensive line, you don't have anything. Here are the top 23 draft prospects according to drafttech.com. All right. A mix of names up there. You could take a look at it. Travis Hunter, obviously the two-way from Colorado. A lot of people's number one pick just because of the athleticism and the opportunity to play both sides of the ball, elite receiver. I definitely think he can get the deep ball, but he's going to be like a Swiss Army knife receiver, I think, in the National Football League. They have him listed as corner here. And who knows, maybe that's where he eventually only plays. But I think it'd be cool if we had a Shohei Ohtani in football. Let him play both ways. And then you can go down the list. A lot of mixed positions here. Edge rushers, cornerbacks, offensive tackles. I think it's going to be a mixed bag draft in the first round. You're not going to get sexy pick after sexy pick. You might get quarterbacks because you always get quarterbacks. But I think you're going to get a lot of these prospects here where you see Will Johnson, the quarterback out of Michigan. We just talked about Travis Hunter. Abdul Carter, the edge rusher from Penn State. Sign me up for that guy twice on a Sunday. All right. So they're the top picks in the draft. And then finally, here is your draft order, ladies and gentlemen, just in case you forgot what each team is working towards here. So you look at the Tennessee Titans, need a quarterback. Cleveland Browns, you got to decide whether or not they want to give them, or they think they need a quarterback. I think they need a quarterback. They need to decide whether or not they think they need a quarterback. Giants definitely need a quarterback. New England, I think they think they're good. Jacksonville, I believe they think they're good. Raiders need a quarterback. Jets need a quarterback. Panthers, I think they think they're good. New Orleans, they said they're going to stay with Derek Carr. Dumb, but that's their decision, so maybe they don't. Bears, and then you can continue down the list. 49ers that are trying to re-sign Purdy. So really, you have the Titans, the Giants, the Raiders, and the Jets. So 4 of the top 7 picks in this draft presumably need a quarterback. Now, there have been a lot of talks of the New York Football Giants and Matthew Stafford. I don't think that's a good idea. Less about the Giants, more about Stafford. I mean, listen, and you don't get a choice sometimes in this league unless you have a no trade clause. But I just don't see the purpose in the West Coast doing that. Why would the Rams do that? Are you a better team without Matthew Stafford? I don't think so. But maybe I'm missing something here. I'm not in their building every day. Maybe he's older than he looks. But the way I look at it, the way my eyes tell me, I think Matthew Stafford's a good QB. Now, good for the Giants, but I don't know why Stafford would want to do that. And I've heard a lot of that. Aaron Rodgers is obviously out there. Is that a move for somebody? Is that a better move than drafting one of these guys in the first or second round? You know, you have to make that decision. And I don't know, okay? Because the biggest thing for me, as I've said, and this is my only, if I'm a GM, this is the only thing I'm worried about. Interior to exterior. So if I believe I have guys that can protect the quarterback, then yeah, I'll probably want to go after one of these 2 or 3 guys and get them in the building and start building them for the next 2 or 3 years. Get a good backup to help him. Maybe get 2 good backups, to be honest with you, just to be safe, okay? But if I don't have a good offensive line, I can't bring one of these guys into the league, because if I already don't think one of these guys is that polished, then what good is it bringing them into the league so they can just get crushed because there's no one protecting them? So you have now a 2-month journey from today until the NFL draft for every team to do these interviews, bring these guys into the buildings, watch them perform and be athletic, go visit each facility. Then the teams go and watch the pro days. It's a long process. And you're going to see 47 mock drafts from Mel Kiper and 19 other different people and yada, yada, yada. At the end of the day, it's just about the team's needs. And the reason why draft picks fail in the National Football League is because it's the hype train from the combine, the hype train from pro day. No, look at the tape and look at your team's needs. It doesn't need to be a sexy pick. It doesn't need to be, it can't always be the pick that you believe it should be. It can't always be, this is going to be the next greatest quarterback of all time. But it can be an unsexy offensive lineman from Alabama that you've really never heard of that actually is the difference maker for your team. So that's what, if you're a football fan, that's what you want your team to be focused on. It's the Rome Show. It's 12OZSports.com. We're live on Roku, Channel TV, Amazon TV, and X. So you can get us so many places. If you missed any part of the show, you can share any of those things I just said or share the podcast, the Rome Show podcast, wherever you get your podcast. I've been telling people I want to know what they think they run the 40 in. All right? Because personally, I think I have stayed pretty athletic at 34 years old, and I'm feeling like a 5'2", you know? I don't think I could break the 5-second barrier unless I like trained for it for a while, but I'm thinking 5'2", 5.4 seconds. I think I can skedaddle down the 40-yard dash right in on YouTube or X and let me know what your thoughts are. The NFLPA asked the players for their thoughts on workplace environment. And here are some interesting numbers that came back from that, okay? The top teams in the National Football League in terms of workplace environment are the Dolphins, the Vikings, the Falcons, the Raiders, and the Chargers, okay? Kudos to the Los Angeles Chargers, who were ranked 30th in the league last year in terms of player satisfaction with their workplace environment, and they moved all the way up to 5th this year. A lot of belief because they updated their practice facilities. The Raiders, a lot are believed is the same thing. They moved to Las Vegas. They get better facilities. They treat the families of the players better, and therefore players are happier playing there. How about the bottom 5 teams, though? Okay, now these are all a C- rating by the rating scale, whatever the hell that means. But the Steelers, the Jets, the Browns, the Patriots, and the Cardinals are the bottom 5 teams in terms of player satisfaction at the workplace, okay? Workplace environment. 77% of the league, or nearly 1,520 players, voted on this survey. And it's players, all players in the building. Practice squad up to QB number 1 voting on this, and that is what came back. To finish, some interesting stuff came back about the head coaches, because they do surveys on a lot of stuff because they want the players to have a voice. The quote I read from the NFLPA said, "We can't just have the players walk into the owner's office and say, 'I hate working here,' because then they'll get themselves released. And in the National Football League, because so much is not guaranteed, you can't have that. So they need to have a voice, okay? The top head coaches in the league, as voted on by the players: Andy Reid, Kevin O'Connell, Mike McDaniels, and Dan Campbell, okay? That would be the Chiefs, the Vikings, the Dolphins, and the Detroit Lions. The Dolphins have really increased their workplace environment ratings over the last 5 or so years. I hope it starts to turn into victories, but nonetheless, it's positive from an overall organizational standpoint. Then finally, the bottom head coaches in the league: Cleveland's Kevin Stefanski, and then 2 guys that got fired, Doug Peterson and Matt Eberflus. These surveys are done throughout the first 2 months of the season and then finished in early November, which is why both of those guys would show up. They ask a lot of questions about the coaches, including how coaches receive feedback in the locker room. So I think, personally, this is one of the coolest things I've ever seen. Like, I do believe players should have a voice. In our program, we have a leadership committee of 7. Well, it started as 6, and then they voted a 7th one on, of 7 players on the team that fit a whole lot of different roles on the team. And we sit down once a week and we discuss the standing on the team. Hey, talk to me, guys. Give me your thoughts. How do you feel things are going? Do you like what the coaches are doing in practice? Are we messing something up here? Are we missing something? Should we keep it status quo? Because if it's status quo and we're doing well, woo! If it's status quo and we suck, we need to make some changes. And that's essentially what the NFLPA did here for the players. Hey, talk to us. We need to know what organizations aren't doing things well, what organizations are doing things well, and how can we get it so that if we rated every organization on a scale of 1 to 10, everybody was at least an 8, right? We can't have teams that are a 2 or a 3 and teams that are a 9 and a 10. We need some type of closure on that gap because it's sometimes less about parity and more about player safety and preparation. If you don't have the practice facilities and the training facilities that are appropriate for what it takes to be a National Football League player, it is a whole lot more difficult for your players to be elite in this sport. So good on the NFLPA. It's the third year they've done this survey. And if I'm getting ranked negatively on this thing, I'm like, all right, we need to figure something out here because that's the last list you want to be on in terms of popularity. That's not the positive press that you want. Even though everyone says all press is good press, I don't think the Steelers having the bottom 5 owner ranked in the league and organization workplace ranked in the league is very good for a team that is supposed to be considered one of the best in the National Football League. I hope you consider this one of the best shows on radio. And if not, we need to do something to change that. So just comment and let us know. We're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we talk NFL rule changes to OT and to first down tracking. It's Andrew Romanella. It's you. It's 12 Ounce Sports, and it's the Rome Show. Here, back after this.
Welcome to MyBookie. You're ready to create an account and start making money, and we're here to help. And remember, you can get a bonus of up to $1,000 on your first deposit. Now you're ready to bet. Just go to mybookie.ag, visit the sportsbook, click on your bet, and input the amount you want to risk or win in the bet slip. Yes, it's that easy. Just remember, at MyBookie, you play, you win, you get paid.
Need tickets to that next event? Well, at 12 Ounce Sports, we've got them with soccer anywhere in the world. Tickets to any venue, any sport. Want to go to NCAA or NFL football matches? We've got them.
Yeah.
Baseball at every level. Every Power 5 matchup is available. Don't forget, costumes and paint are optional. What's that? You want to go to Broadway? We have those too. Want to jam out? Every concert, every artist. That's right, at 12 Ounce Sports, we've got the tickets for less. 12ozsports.com/tickets. That's 12ouncesports.com/tickets.
Yeah. The Rome Show. 12ouncesports.com. Amazon TV, Roku channel TV, X, all the things. YouTube.com/12ozsports. I mean, come on. If you can't find the show, that's on you. And it's okay. I'm not everyone's cup of tea. I tell this to recruits all the time. I tell this to players all the time. I tell this to families all the time. You can't get along with everybody. Everyone cannot like you. Everyone cannot like your personality. And it is okay if I'm not your cup of tea. I've started to learn that there are certain people that like to sip out of the 12 Ounce Sports, the Rome Show cup, and we love those people. And if those people could find more people like you people, we'd all really be happy about that. So just go ahead and share the social media, the Rome Show 1. Instagram, X, Facebook, TikTok, all the things, and people can get a snapshot into it, or follow the mothership 12OZ Sports everywhere, and you can get a snapshot of the Rome Show and the rest of the great shows on our network. I told you before the break that the National Football League is contemplating some changes, all right, on their competition committee. The first one being a change to OT. It's a real simple one. In the regular season, it's a 10-minute window, and both teams get a chance to possess the football unless the team that possesses the football first scores a touchdown on the opening drive. Whereas in the postseason, it's a 15-minute window that would then give both teams the opportunity to possess the football. Essentially, playing more of a 15-minute extra period than necessarily a kind of sudden death overtime. Now, they would contemplate changing the OT rule to exactly what the regular season is, 15 minutes to OT, 15 minutes in the regular season, and everyone gets a chance to touch the football. And then keeping it consistent in the regular season and the postseason, they think will make it the most fair version of the game. I can't imagine one fan out there that would disagree with that rule. Now, the second rule, which I think is the most important rule, and I can hear Rocky Romanella, my father, somewhere.
I can't handle this too, Rocky Romanella.
I can hear my father somewhere going, finally, because the NFL is working on a virtual measuring system for all first downs. Now, on the back end of the National Football League last year, the officials apparently tested this. And the idea essentially in the simplest form is you got a tracker in the football, and that tracker is going to tell the officials when and where the ball needs to be located, okay? So first and foremost, if it's a first down, it's a first down. We don't need Johnny, Rick, and Bobby running out with their chains and their little orange flags and then we like pull it as long as possible, and then the official looks at it from his angle, and then he points forward or holds up the fort. We don't need any of that, right? I mean, right now, my team, I type into what looks like a little calculator, a number, and they get a buzz on what looks like an Apple Watch on their wrist, and it says fastball down the middle, curveball, woo, right? Well, it's the same thing. Tracker hits first down, 22-yard line. Okay, here we go. 22-yard line. And now you never have the stupid issues of one official on the other side. You can see him. He runs to where it looks like it's a first down. Then the guy on the near side runs to where it looks like it's not a first down. And then as they both converge on the football, somehow they meet like kind of somewhere in the middle. And usually it's a tough call for both teams. And then you're going to go to replay anyways and check on it. So at the end of the day, this is the only thing the National Football League should focus on, okay? Focus on this first down tracking. Focus on how we can make it so the spotting of the football is the best it possibly can be. We talked about this in baseball the other day. In spring training, they're testing out the automated balls and strike system, and it's not going to eliminate the umpire per se. It's going to eliminate the umpire's decision-making on balls and strikes. If the automated system can be better than the umpire, but we're also not going to lose the umpire, which to a lot of people is the integrity of baseball, having the umpire there, then how is it not a win-win? If we get the calls more right and we don't eliminate jobs, therefore keeping the foundation of the sport, is that not a win-win? Can it not be the same thing for the National Football League? Don't you not still need officials to make calls? Don't you still not need officials to spot the football? Don't you still not need officials to call timeouts? So if it is going to make the game better, but you are not going to lose jobs or feel like you're putting officials out of work because now all the technology is taking over, then do it. And the only thing the National Football League should be focused on over the next 6 to 8 months is how the heck do we get this technology as good as possible? And if we used it last year, you know what you should do? You should call the USFL or the XFL or whatever that league is called that plays spring football and say, hey, you want a partnership? How about this? We'll give you $100,000, $50,000 per team, whatever it is, and we need you to test this football tracking system. And then you turn the USFL into the minor leagues of the National Football League and your testing grounds for all the technology that could better benefit the game. And that is exactly what the NFL should be doing. So I'm happy it's on the docket. Now let's see if it eventually gets passed. We have our man Rocky Romanella writing in from his Leadership Library podcast account. Hit the Leadership Library, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. You might hear my voice on that too as well, but you should rather listen to his because he's the leader in the family. Top 2 groups of people talked about on an NFL game: quarterbacks and officials. Best officials use the ones no one are there. What he means by that is, he wrote on the back end knows. He says the best officials are the ones you don't even know exist, right? That the best umpires, the best officials, you don't know that they're there in a good way because they just make the calls. They just go about their business. They don't affect the game in a negative way. So check out the Leadership Library podcasts. Mr. Romanella, thank you not only for writing in, but for all the wise wisdom you gave me. Not here without you. Now we're here at my favorite segment of the day, which is...
Ba 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 na na ba 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 na na.
All right. When the music plays, you know it's something fun going on the Rome Show. Let's finish this show with a bang. Here's the deal. All right. I went 1-1 last night. 61-50 overall in the 2025 season. I chose the Knicks to win by 9.5. They had it for a little bit there. They still won, okay? But they only won by 5, so we did not get that banana. However, the Houston Rockets came through for us with like a 16-point victory. I had them at -8.5. So we got a banana there, calcium up for the team. So tonight we got 2 in the NBA. I decided to go with money line on both of these because I just didn't know what I wanted out of the line. Last night, the line on one game was out. The line on the game on the other wasn't out. And I said, you know what? I think I believe the Warriors, who have won 4 straight and are 7-3 in their last 10, are going to Orlando, but are playing well. And a Warriors team playing well with the veteran presence they have and the head coach that they have usually means it doesn't matter where they play, they can beat anybody. So give me the Warriors on the money line in Orlando. And then I'm doing the same with the Suns and the Pelicans, 2 teams that are kind of trending in a negative direction. I just think when you have that much talent on your roster and you're playing a team that's 14 and whatever in the Pelicans, so be it, they've won 1 or 2 in a row. I just think the talent sometimes can always come through, especially when you're playing a poorly talented and poorly played and poorly coached team in New Orleans. So I'm going to take the Suns on the money line. I'm going to take the Warriors on the money line. And I think I'm just going to call that the Rome Show here on 12OZ Sports, Roku, Amazon, and X. And YouTube. I hope you follow us on all those. If you don't, you should. And if you love this show, please just share it with a friend, as we always tell you to do. We'll be back tomorrow, Friday, 7 a.m. If you're looking for something to watch tonight, 3 p.m., check out the Centenary Cyclones against New Jersey City University. Head to centenarycyclones.com and you can check your boy out. All right? Hey, who knows? It might be on 12ouncesports.com too. We'll see. Either way, Andrew O'Neill, you have an electric day. Nice!
Thank you for listening.